Ukraine is a country which had to stand up and fight for its freedom. If we talk about freedom of speech in Belarus, is it possible at all to talk about free media and free speech in this country? I am following with envy what Ukrainians are doing and envy their problems. I'm happy there are pioneers like Ukrainian media which overcome all the obstacles, and we have opportunity to learn from their mistakes, to not repeat them when changes happen in Belarus. Foreign journalists often call Belarus communist with a taste of cappuccino. However, cappuccino goes to tourists who arrive and see clean streets, as in the Third Reich, and communism goes to journalists and activists who sit in prisons and had to pay 200 fines in 2018 alone. Of course, there is no freedom, neither in media nor in the civil sector. It is a battle for survival, but on the other hand, it stimulates media. Small newsrooms, such as Radio Free Europe, do not stand still to experiment. I don't think that printed media have any future. Sooner or later, it will die, and our nostalgia for a paper book will remain in the history. Also, I do not think that cable TV will play a significant role in the future of Belarus. We can skip a certain stage as you skipped it in Ukraine, to skip the stage of traditional media and switch directly to the new media. What is happening in Belarus is constant experiments. We experiment with virtual reality, new platforms. Belarusian journalists are starting to learn how to use forbidden platforms such as TikTok, as they don't have access to state TV, and they have to experiment even with Tinder. Belarusian media make attempts to launch bots, nets, automatized systems for content distribution because the traditional methods are not available to us. What I like is that young journalists who study at propagandistic faculties of journalism in Belarus are also becoming advocates of media experiments. That's why I think there is no freedom of speech now, but when the discussion about it is launched in Belarus, it will appear very quickly, step by step, and we won't have such a long transition period as Ukraine. For freedom of speech in Belarus, could internet and online platforms be helpful? Is internet free in Belarus? The internet in Belarus is fast, but not free. But the fact we have it, and the fact that more than 72% of people have access to it, gives us great opportunities. The task is to explain to people how to get access to the blocked websites, how to circumvent censorship. It depends much on journalists. We do not only spread content, we form the culture of content consumption. We deal with media education. In fact, a lot of publications of Radio Free Europe are devoted to the ways of providing access to independent websites for elderly people, because there is a long list of independent media which are blocked in Belarus. For instance, the news website Charter 97. Nobody knows when the next one will be blocked. You never know when a KGB agent or special forces come and destroy your office, and that is the end. That's why a lot of editorial offices switched to the virtual world, communicate via secured messengers, and show good results. If before we used to compete with Lukashenko's propaganda, which was dominating and kept everything under control, as there was no privatization in Belarus, all the media were under control of the government. Now we are witnessing active measures taken by Putin, his Sputnik, and all that small media support by Yandex News and Mail.ru News. Sputnik appeared in Belarus 1 year ago, as a niche, marginal media. Its audience reach was 100,000 people per month. Now it is ahead of 5 key news websites put together. Why did it happen so? Thanks to the infrastructure of the Russian Kremlin media network, first of all, Yandex. When we are talking about media, we have to understand that it's not only brand, but also social media infrastructure, news aggregators which support these media. We have no idea how to compete with Sputnik and with those pro-Russian regional local publics. If I understand this correctly, the internet is controlled. Is it something like in China, where critical websites are off or banned? And official media are under control of Lukashenko or Russia? From this point of view, it seems desperate. I wouldn't say so. I have this hope. I see this hope in experimentation, creativity of Belarusians. They say that Belarus is an IT country, and it's true. A lot of companies here do work outsourced from America. The power is in IT specialists who can solve unsolvable issues and journalists. Belarus is the case where technologies can help usher in democracy. We do have traditional media, printed newspapers, which are actively distributed to every school by Lukashenko with his portrait on the front page. Also, we have Russian media, which are innovative to a certain extent, which have an apparat of support. And we do have small, low-budget projects, as was Hromadske at the very beginning, which are not guaranteed to survive, but which have the enthusiasm to survive. We are learning from Hromadske, from small Ukrainian projects, learn how to make podcasts from Slovak SME, from the Czech Idnes, learning from Gazeta and their small radio projects. It is a moment when we are actively experimenting and learn from the mistakes of others. So, if you learn and do these experiments, is it illegal? Or is it just that the government can't see it? Yes, the government will arrive and forbid it. In Belarus, it does not work like this, that you register the medium and all the doors are open for you. Kiki.org, a little youth site, was blocked. After the scandal and reaction of the West, it was unblocked. So the blocking of sites and censorship applies not only to big political media such as Radio Free Europe or Belsat, but also to all sites which influence small target groups of people. Radio Free Europe doesn't have an official office in Minsk, and even the journalists who have accreditation are often imprisoned. They often receive fines and are accused of working for American media. Lukashenko is kind of balancing between the West and the East. He knows that it is better not to touch Radio Free Europe because it is American, and in such case Americans won't give money, but he is taking it out on the Poles, those who finance Radio Raisia, Belsat, European Radio for Belarus, those who do not contribute to his political well-being. If there is a danger for young Belarusians who start an internet portal or television that publicizes critical content and gets prohibited, is it dangerous? KGB agents came to my colleagues from Radio Free Europe 2 to 3 days ago, and such things are happening regularly. They come, copy files, ask protocol questions, and let people free. What matters now is not to create a brand, but to create infrastructure for distribution. For Belarus, such platform as Telegram proved to be useful. It gives opportunity to have small, well-targeted projects. It's a messenger like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. We created channels, economy of Belarus, nature of Belarus, politics of Belarus. People do not have to follow all the news of Radio Free Europe. They subscribe to certain topics. I think that future in journalism is in hyper-local projects, when people subscribe to certain topics they are interested in, and we can supply this good quality information to them in a reliable way.